Hi and welcome to my channel. My name is Magnus, and in this video we are going to create some domains. We are going to create some trusted client networks. We're actually going to assign a global policy to our customer domains as well. And as you see, my lab is empty, and honestly I needed to remake this MDS because I had some issue with my VMware workstation and I didn't take a snapshot. But anyway, if you have seen the previous 3 videos in this series, that's awesome. And I will just do a short recap on how to actually create the domains. When you log into the MDS, then you see that you have a global domain. And here's also where you can see all your virtualized domains. So we will start with making a virtualized domain, meaning a virtualized server for a customer or for our infrastructure. A slice in the management station. So first off, we create new, and then we select domain. You see here that you can actually select multi-domain server, multi-domain log server. And that's because you can have multiple MDSs within the same system. You still have the limitation on 250 domains, but you can spread them out over multiple MDSs. Same with log servers. My recommendation, as I have said in previous videos, is still 100. And the reason for this is because of upgrades and so on. If you're planning to run more, it's possible to run up to 250 domains, but you need a really big box. When we size them, normally I do 1 gig of RAM per domain on top of the minimum requirement. But let's start with the domain. And as I did rant in the other video about naming, you cannot change names when you have created them. Then you need to remove them and add them back. And if you're planning to run VSX within this, then you need to keep in mind all your actual like interface configs and so on, all the IP addresses, all the routing, etc., is within your domain. It's not localized on the gateway like a normal standard cluster. In VSX, all of this information is within the management station. So it's a big deal to just remove and re-add. But here we see main 01, and here we will place our VSX gateway. So this is not the customer one, this is just for our basic infrastructure for the VSX cluster. And the VSX cluster we will install in, I think, in 1 or 2 videos. And the VSX cluster can be in this one, but the specific virtualized firewalls can be in all different domains, so they don't need to be in the same. So main 01, and then we just call it CMA, and we use next available IP address 192.168.1.1.1. And I mean, you can have a range, so it assigns it automatically. I normally like to do it like this. And trusted clients, as I said before, we haven't added any specific ranges for this, so we need to do any for now. And additional info, well, they are not searchable as I mentioned in the last video, but at least you can see them down below here if you add something. When it comes to creating a domain, you need to be very high privileged to actually do this. I'm not sure if you need to be a multi-domain super user. I think so, but we need to check on that. And as you see here, you don't need to publish, you don't need to install. When you hit continue here, it will just go. So this is creating the domain, and you can see it down here below. And all of this with like SIG keys and so on, this is fixed automatically. And let's create a few more. Let's create 3 more, 3 customers. And I will just call them like SIG 001 for customer 1 or whatever. Normally I have a more or less a gibberish number here that is referenced to a customer ID or something that I can look up. So Checkpoint is not making it easy for you, as you cannot change the names. And if you want to hear what I think about it, look on the last video where I talked like 10 minutes on how annoyed I am on this specific topic. Yeah, you can skip that if you don't want. Trusted clients. And let's call it Volvo, like I said in the last video, and I will call the other one Scania, and the third one like HM. All Swedish companies or Swedish brands. And I will jump forward so you don't need to see this when I create new customers. Alright, now we have all 3 customers and we have our main domain. The main domain will reside the VSX cluster, and sec01 to 03 represent 3 different customers. And if you didn't see my last video, only the stuff that is visible here is searchable within this frame. So even that I did have a comment on this one, for example, says Volvo and Volvo here, you cannot search for Volvo and see it in the list. You can search for these names, you can search for the IP addresses. So if I put in 192.168.1.112, it will list the specific domain in question. But I guess you understand why it's very frustrating that you cannot actually search on the comment fields that you put in. In more or less all other views within Checkpoint, you can always search on the comment field, and this should be, I think this should be addressed by Checkpoint, and I hope they fix it. So one thing that we need to change is the trusted clients. I mean, currently we have that anyone is allowed to connect to this multi-domain server and also to the specific domains. And we work in security, so we want to limit that. And you can do that under multi-domain, and then permissions and administrators, and then trusted clients. So here you can add with a button. So for example, we can call this management net, and we can have a specific IP, we can have ranges, we can have wildcard and so on. Normally I do an IPv4 net mask, and in this case we can take 192.168.0.1 and a /24. And as you see here, you also have domain assignment, meaning we can put in this one for all domains, or we can put it for a specific customer. If we put it for all domains, this will also include all new domains that are created. So this will be automatically working for all domains within this specific MDS. If we click here on any host, we still see that we have all these domains actually assigned to this one. And this is something that we want to change. So let's remove all the assignments for any host, because we don't want any host to be able to log into this. So, okay. And this part, you see that you actually get the session here. So this is something that you need to publish before it's actually activated. So let's publish this, and let's hope that we are on the correct subnet. We are, but this is something that you need to think about. So let's publish. Of course, you're able to have separate management network for like a specific customer if you want to have that. So we can do one more, and we call it customer one. And let's say they have a specific IP address that they are allowed to come from. And then we can assign it to the specific customer one. And then you see here under assigned domains, it's sec001, but the management network is for all domains and the any host is for none. So just publish this to take effect. And in this case, you can actually search for comments. So if we take this customer one and we put Volvo here, then we can actually search here for Volvo and it will work. So Checkpoint knows how to do this, and they should just fix the other part, and I will rant about that until Checkpoint actually change this. When it comes to administrators, then you can have multiple different profiles. You can have multiple different authentication methods. As default, we have this admin user, and it's a multi-domain super user. So it's the ruler of them all. And you can have multiple authentication methods. If you, for example, want to have a radius or a TACAX, where you actually add the TACAX server and the TACAX information is not here. You actually need to add that under the global domain, where you need to create a TACAX or radius object that you can refer to. As we don't have a TACAX or radius server in this case, we will just use normal passwords. What you need to think about as well, if you're using TACAX and you are below R81, you can only have one single server. So if you want to have any sort of redundancy for your accounts in this case, you need to have it for radius. And also you cannot, even that this is working with like Active Directory, you cannot map your Active Directory directly to the checkpoint to use that and just provide a group. So you will need to create the users manually within this MDS and provide it with a specific access, and then you can map it to radius that is then mapped to an Active Directory. So if you have a script, you can do this with the API and get it to work, but I normally add them manually and then specify which domain they should actually have, and I refer it to radius group. And this radius group actually refers to an Active Directory group where we actually apply to join that Active Directory group to have it, well, somewhat in order. Checkpoint doesn't support multi-factor authentication. I think that's really strange as well. But you cannot have, like, if you're trying to open a smart console, it's not possible, as far as I know, to add one more field here with like an OTP or one-time password. I think that Checkpoint should add this, but this doesn't exist in R80 and it doesn't exist in R81. You can have a one-time password pointing with the radius or TACAX, so you use it here, but you cannot have both. So you cannot have your username and password plus a one-time password. You need to pick which one you want to use. When we create the new user, we do it here, new, and then you need to select the name. This name you can actually change, so this is not the end of the world. So here you can have like Magnus Holmberg. Cannot even spell my own name. And here you have a checkpoint password, and you can select undefined. I don't know what undefined is, but checkpoint password, OS password is the same as you have on the gateway, or in this case on the management station, like a local on the management station itself, same as the admin account. You can have a secure ID, radius, or TACAX, and all of these three, this is something that you need to add within the global domain to actually be able to reference to an radius server, because you see here, you have nothing to reference to. And any is not good to reference to. So in this case, we will do a checkpoint password, and we will set the new password, and I recommend you to use this one if you're creating a password for someone else than yourself. Because this means that the user needs to change his own password, and he will be prompted that when he first log in, or he or she. And I will just select checkpoint as a password to show you this prompt. And then you need to select the profile level based on the MDS. So this has nothing to do with like the access to the customer, or it has in a way. If you select the multi-domain super user, you cannot pick which specific access it should have, because it has full permission to everything within the system. But if you, for example, use domain super user, then it cannot do anything within the MDS provisioning. And we will go through that later, but if you press here, you're able to see like which, what is this regarding? So in this case, he can manage all domains, he can manage all administrators, he can manage sessions, the APIs, the VPN, and so on, and even the global policy. But MDS provisioning he's not able to do. So what is an MDS provisioning? Well, that is if you want to add MLM or one more MDS within this MDS. meaning one more multi-domain server to load the domains between. So it's a very powerful user, but not the most powerful. And you can also have a global manager. And here you're able to use the global policies. So if you want to have a specific admins only accessing the global policies, and I will show you what the global policies is actually for. And then you can have a domain manager, meaning this is someone that, for example, if you have help desk personnel that help you with creating rules, you can add all the customers' domain here. So for example, either we can select it one by one. So either we do one by one or we select all domains. And then you can select a profile, a permission profile based on all domains. So for example, maybe I should have read write to all domains, but only read only for the global domains. Of course, you're able to create an own one. So if you do new here, you can create one, and then you can have help desk. And then you can have a customized, meaning that you can pick what part you should be able to do. Like VSX provisioning, should you be able to manage the license? Should you be able to open the shell, the prompt, the CLI? You can select if they should be able to access specific part of the policies, the threat prevention, the loggings, if they should be able to see like username and password, not passwords, but usernames within the logs. So there is a lot of possibilities to do specific permission profiles, so it should be able to fit all different scenarios that you may have. In this specific case, I will just have read write all to all domains, but read only for the global. So let's create one. And just as a side note, if you're using checkpoint password, I think that you should put an expiration on the date. If you're having in an Active Directory, then normally if someone change job or shouldn't have this access, then you block it in the Active Directory instead. And as I said, you cannot map it directly to the Active Directory. You need to go through like a radius or a TACAX first. When it comes to username and password, I recommend you to have the same username as you have in the Active Directory, so you don't need to remember several usernames. And then it's fairly easy to understand that you should use your normal username and password because it will map against your Active Directory via the radius or TACAX. If we put an expiration a few days ahead, we will get an alert. So I will select what is it now? So let's say the 15th. And under additional info, you can add like an email address, you can add the phone numbers and contact details, because sometimes you have like usernames that is, well, not really human readable. It can be employee ID and so on. So then it's good to put like a comment who it actually is. So let's create this one. And note, the changes will not be affected before you publish the change. So publish. And you see here that it's listed that it has an expiration date, and it's yellow because it's so close in the, it's not many days until it will expire. So you have an alert that will be visible for at least admins. So if we create one more, just to show you the difference. So we have customer 01, and let's put checkpoint as a password. And in this case, we will have domain level only. So we will have a specific user in this case that will only be able to access the specific domain and not the MDS part. Meaning he cannot see this GUI, but he can see the normal smart console as a customer, and it will look exactly like you have a normal management station that is not an MDS. So let's select the customer 1. And then you can have a specific permission profile, and let's do a read only and expire in let's say 1 month. So we see that it's changing from yellow. So this will only affect after publish. That's okay. So now we have 3 usernames here. We have the admin, we have me, and then we have the customer. So let's see what the difference is when we try to log in. So we can actually open one more smart console in parallel because, I mean, we're using different usernames. So let's start with the Magnus Holmberg. And he has domain manager, so he should be able to, or I should be able to log into the to this MDS. And the password I did select was checkpoint. And here you see that I'm prompted to change my password directly. And let's change the password. And me, I have access to all the domains. And if I select here, you see that I can now log into the MDS, I can log into the global, main, and I can see all the customers here. So I can log in directly to the customers if I want to, but I prefer to log into the MDS and then jump from there to the customer domain. So proceed. And of course, you get an alert if your account is about to expire. So mine is about to expire in 2 days. So please contact your admin. So, okay. So you see here, I'm able to see the same as the super user, but this part will be a read only. And if I want to jump to a specific customer now, then I can just mark one of these, right click, and then select connect to domain. And this will open an additional smart console, so it will look exactly like the customer's normal smart console, normal management server looks. So this is quite nice and really powerful. So you see here, I have a smart console, and if I move away some stuff, yes, you can see. So I have my MDS part here. I'm logged in and I can see the global assignments. We haven't assigned a global. We will do that in the next video. This is already getting quite long, so it will be a different video for global assignments. But here we have all the domains. We can see all the gateways and servers that is within this MDS. So even if they are located in different domains, we can see them all under one view. We can actually see all the log files under one view as well. So currently we don't have any gateways, we don't have anything that generate in logs, so that's why we will not see any logs here. Or maybe the MDS is generating some, but I mean, we don't have any traffic at least. So here, within this part, and we are in the MDS, we are able to see all the log files from all the domains. And if we don't want to see from specific domains, we need to go under here, under log server, and deselect things. And when we have some firewalls and some traffic going in here, we can see this. And of course, the original will say where it's from. So this is the MDS view, and I'm logged in as my own account, the domain manager. And here is the smart console for the specific customer. This one, 601, is this part. So you see it here, 601 and the IP address, and I'm logged in as Magnus. And here you see this as a normal management station. Looks exactly the same, and you have the look and feel exactly the same as well. It just virtualized within a different box. So you can do all the same, and it's completely separate from each other. So the sec1 and sec2 is not the same thing. We will check on this one more with the global manager in next video. And I will just show you, if I log in as a customer now then. So let's see, permissions, admins, I did call it customer 1. So let's open one more smart console and I select customer 01 and the password. And here I can either go to the MDS and I will be redirected, or I can go directly to this IP address and I will go directly to that IP address. So I will change to .112. So you see that you can use a smart console with your normal customer login, or your admin login, so to say, and press login here, and it will have the same look and feel like a normal management station. And we just prompted to change the passwords. So you see this customer, this account, it came directly into the smart console and he was not prompted like the MDS thing. He could not see which customers we have. And even if we select the MDS IP, it will not list all the other customers. So he will only see what he's supposed to do. So this is really cool. And I think this is it for this video. And this was regarding accounts and how to actually specify which account should be able to access which domain. And we also specified like which specific, what is it called? Trusted clients can actually be used. So in the next video, we will talk about global policies and how to assign them to different domains. And I hope to see you in the next one. If you haven't already, please consider to subscribe to the channel. It helps out a lot, and I would love to hear your comments about this series and what you want to see next. And hope to see you in the next one. Take care. Bye.